So in this video, I'll be taking you through some of my own thoughts regarding the disappearance of 19-year-old Jay Slater in Tenerife. Now, just to give you a little bit of context regarding this case in particular, Jay went missing on June 17th. He had travelled to Tenerife with some friends. They were out partying. At some stage, they become separated. Jay ends up at an Airbnb some 50 minutes drive away, where he was taken there by two individuals. The following day, a couple of his friends hear from Jay, but apart from that, he has not been seen or heard from since. Now, so many people have asked me in the comment section to my videos, have I been following this case? What are my opinions on this particular topic? So in this video, I'm going to take you through a short section of a video created by retired detective Mark Williams Thomas, in which I will interject in places and share some of my own thoughts on what I believe may have happened.
I've now spoken in some detail to one of these men, Ayub Kasim, who was known as Johnny Vegas. And I've also identified the other male that was with him, but I've not yet spoken to him. Ayub has provided me with his account of what he says happened on that morning, Monday, the 17th of June. He says he was on the strip. Jay wanted to carry on partying, and he said he had nowhere to stay. So he said he could come back to his.
Right, so let's cut in here fairly early on, because I know a lot of people have made mention that what he said here simply makes no sense whatsoever. Jay was staying very close by to where this conversation took place, so why would Jay say, "I've got nowhere to stay"? Now, on the face of things, that does sound like quite a strange occurrence. Why would Jay say, "I've got nowhere to stay," when his apartment was fairly close by? However, what isn't taken into account here, or even mentioned in this media piece, is how was Jay appearing at that time? How was he presenting himself? Was he under the influence of drink or drugs? Was he frantic? Was he disorientated? We simply don't know. We've got no idea how he appeared to this individual. No idea whatsoever. However, my concern with this case is that this is just one of many inconsistencies as we move forward.
They say in the car, they played music and chatted before stopping to get a drink at a cafe, at a shop, just prior to entering the mountains. He says he was driving, his friend was in the passenger seat, and Jay was in the back. They say on arrival at the rental, his friend opened the door, went into the left, and went straight to sleep. Jay walked in behind, followed by him, and when got inside, they went upstairs, and Ayub then said to Jay, "Sofa's yours. Here's a towel, here's a blanket, have a shower if you want."
Okay, so let's just jump in again here just very quickly. Now, the whole point of Jay wanting to go back with this individual was to continue to party. That was one of the main reasons why he wanted to go back and drive over 50 minutes back to this person's Airbnb. Now, the Airbnb is located in the back arse end of nowhere. It's not near the party venue. It's not near Jay's own accommodation. And one of the main reasons was because he wanted to continue to party. Yet when they get to the Airbnb, they open the door. This other guy's mate pops off to the left. He's going to have a kip. He's going to sleep. No problem. He said to Jay, "Here's a shower. Here's a towel. Basically, I'll see you in the morning, or I'm going to sleep." There's no mention there of anything taking place in terms of continuing the party, or really any sort of mention of the whole purpose of them being there in the first place, or one of the reasons Jay got in the car to travel back there in the first place. No mention at all. I mean, some people may say, well, they're hardly going to say, "Yeah, we stayed up for 2 hours doing drugs," but they don't have to, do they? He could have said, "Well, we stayed up for a few hours chatting, we listened to a bit of music, this happened, that happened." But there seems to be something missing at this point in the story. Why would you go all that way, almost an hour in the car, away from your accommodation, to somewhere, fairly rural, you would say, and go through the door and immediately go to bed? His friend's gone to bed. He's shown him where a towel is, the shower. I'm going off to sleep. Now, what I want people to really pay attention to here is how Jay is described in this next clip. Now, this was the point that stood out to me the most, I have to say, because I get the impression that Jay was making his excuses because he wanted to leave immediately. This other guy, he's got his back turned. He's dealing with other stuff at the front of the property. Next thing he turns around, Jay's already got his shoes on. Yeah, I'm going. Well, just wait a second, I'll give you a lift. No, it's all right, mate. No. He's very much making his excuses to leave. And my question is, what happened in between that time period? I've got my own opinion, shall we say, but I'm going to get to that at the end. Because I also feel it's tied into where Jay's phone last pinged, and also the discussion from his friend Lucy regarding Jay's phone being on 1%. But pay attention to Jay's behaviour at this point in time. Take a listen to the following.
Jay asked for a cigarette, and Ayub said, I've got some Camel cigarettes, and put one on the side. Jay then asked for a phone charger. He said, go into my friend's room. He's asleep. Take his charger and you can put your phone on charge. There was no charging point by the sofa. Ayub says he then goes to sleep and he's woken by a buzzer. Ayub says he comes down the stairs. Jay says to him, what's that annoying noise? Which was the doorbell. Ayub says he opens the door and speaks to a woman and a man, and they gesture that he needed to move his car. Ayub says he gets into his car and he's starting to move it, and he looks in the rearview mirror and he sees Jay talking to a woman. He's got his trainers on, so he's about to leave. Jay then says to Ayub, having moved the car, the woman says, I can get a bus every 10 minutes. And Ayub says, he says to him, mate, just chill out. I'll drop you off in town when I wake up properly. He went, no, I'm hungry. I need to get a scran. And the woman told me I can get a bus every 10 minutes to Los Cristianos.
Okay. So in that part that I've just played you there's some discussion about Jay saying he needed a phone charger. The guy has said, go into my friend's room, he's asleep, and there's a charger in there. Now, shortly after Jay leaves the property, there's a phone conversation between himself and his friend Lucy Law. Now, on that telephone conversation, by all accounts, Lucy said that Jay had said to her, I've got no phone battery, I'm on 1%.
And then I woke up to a phone call at like 8:30 in the morning, around 8:30, from Jay saying that he'd gone up to the mountains, that his phone was on 1%, so it was like...
So we can say with a fair deal of certainty that phone charger was never used. Jay never got that phone charger from the room, but did Jay go in there and find something else? Now, the reason I'm saying this is because I'm trying to work out why Jay would be so keen to leave the property, in a rush almost. Why would he be looking to get out of there? Why would he be making his excuses to leave? And I wonder if that part of the story that's being told here by Mark Williams Thomas has been changed around very slightly, and that the guy who gave this interview was actually going out to the front of the property to move the cars, this, that and the other, and during that time he had said to Jay, go and get the charger, it's in my mate's room, he's asleep. Jay's gone into the room, and instead of taking the charger, he's maybe found something else.
Jay then asked for a phone charger. He said, go into my friend's room, he's asleep, take his charger, and you can put your phone on charge.
Now let's bear in mind, if that is the case, and again, this is just pure speculation on my behalf here, but if that is the case, and Jay has taken something from that room, then that is one of those, it's a snap decision, isn't it? It's not something that you can later then go back on. If you take something from that property, you can't just return it in 10 minutes' time. You can't walk back there 30 minutes later and say, oh, hang on a minute, this was in my pocket. You can't do that. And I wonder if that's linked to how Lucy Law describes that phone conversation. She says, well, Jay said, I can't go back there. I can't go back there.
Like, you need to go back there. He said to me, I can't go back there. I don't know where it is.
Why can't he go back there? He's walked just up the road. Why can't he go back there? Is it because something has been taken from that property? Again, I'm basing this on his behaviour. He wants to get out. He wants to leave the property. The guy's turned around. He's got his shoes on. He's quite surprised. Oh, don't worry, I'll give you a lift. No, it's all right. He wants to leave the property. Why does he want to leave the property? Is it because during that time of going to get the telephone charger, the phone charger from his friend's room who was asleep, did he find something else in that room? And again, if that's the case, he's made that decision and there's no going back at that point. If you find an opportunity in those circumstances, you either take it or you don't. And if he did decide to do that, then he's committed to that course of action. He's got to take the stuff, he's got to get out of there, and he's not going to be returning. What I also feel adds credibility to this theory is the fact that when Jay left the property, he didn't turn right downhill in the direction of his apartment, although it's, many, many miles away. He didn't turn right and head towards the direction of his apartment and the way in which they came in the night before when they arrived at the Airbnb. He didn't follow that path. Now think about this from his perspective. If something indeed was taken from that room, what would you do? You would leave the property and you would take a direction where you're not expected to be followed. You're not expected to be found. So instead of turning right, where he may believe that's where they're going to look for him first, he turns left and goes uphill because he's trying to get away. He's trying not to be found. Now, as a side note to this, I have read somewhere that if you put this location into Apple Maps as if you're walking back to Jay's apartment, although it's, as I say, many, many miles away, if you use Apple Maps, it will in fact tell you to turn left and go uphill. However, if you use Google Maps, it will tell you to turn right and head downhill in a natural direction of Jay's apartment. Again, as I say, although it is many, many miles away. But we're not just looking at here, are we? Someone who has come out of the Airbnb and has just simply taken a stroll in the wrong direction. We're not looking at that. We're looking at someone who has walked a fair distance up the hill and then he's gone off-road. Why has he gone off-road? Is that because, as I say, he doesn't want to be found? He doesn't want to be seen? I've also read some information that that was not the only call that Lucy had that morning, that in fact she spoke to another unnamed individual. And my concern is that that was one of the people who was staying at the Airbnb. So they called Lucy and said, "Where's Jay? X, Y, and Z has happened. Where is he?" Because then according to a screenshot that was put out there, it was Lucy who actually called Jay. It wasn't Jay calling Lucy, it was Lucy calling Jay. And I wonder if that phone call was something like, "Where are you? What's happened? What's going on? What are you doing? Where are you? I can't go back there. I can't go back there. This has happened. I'm now..." And at this point, did Jay become worried that they were going to know where he was and he went off-road? Because naturally, if you're looking for someone, yes, you are going to start by retracing your steps from the previous evening. Of course you are. You're going to take the car, you're going to go downhill, you're going to follow the route that you came in the night before, believing that that is the route Jay would initially take. However, once you've walked up the hill for such a distance, at some point you're going to think to yourself, hang on a minute, what if they check up here? What if they drive up here? Is that what led him to go off-road? Because I'm trying to put the pieces together here. Why he was so keen to leave that property in such a rush. Why he has taken a left, walking further away from where his property, his own apartment, is located. Why there's this phone call then between Lucy and Jay where he says he's got 1% battery, which tells us he most likely didn't use that charger. And why he then goes off-road. Is it because he'd walked for so long up that road he thought at some point, once they've gone down there, they're going to come up here looking for me. I've got to go off-road. I'm going to try and cut across. Did he get lost? Did they actually catch up with him? I don't know. And again, this is just my own personal perspective. I'm trying to understand the reasons why Jay would want to leave there so quickly. I mean, equally, you could say maybe there was a falling out, maybe something else happened. But I just find it odd that there's this discussion about the phone charger. Yeah, there's a phone charger in here. My friend's asleep. Just picture that. If that did happen, and he walked into that room and that guy was asleep and there was something else in the room and he didn't use the phone charger, what happened next? Now, this discussion in this particular video regarding Jay going into that room and finding something and then taking it, naturally is just one of many, many possibilities. But what I'm interested in and what drew me to this case in particular and what made me actually create this video is what drew me to Jay's behaviour, this need to get out, taking the wrong direction and then going off-road. For me, this doesn't appear like someone who is trying to find his way back to his apartment. It just doesn't strike me as that. It strikes me as someone who is trying to get away from something for some unknown reason. And we also need to factor in that many of the statements made by his friends simply don't make any sense. Jay called me. Well, no, actually, I called Jay. And yeah, I spoke to Jay. He was laughing and joking. Well, he wasn't laughing and joking when I spoke to him because he tripped on a cactus and he was bleeding. You know, there's so many different versions here. And many characters in this story actually seem quite fearful to tell their version of events. Do let me know some of your own thoughts and theories down in the comments section below. Naturally, this is a case that I'll be keeping a close eye on and creating further content in the coming days. Many thanks for joining me for this video. I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.